Chapter 40. What are you doing? Diamond, Diamond was standing in front of the Dominic's door. She didn't know what should she done. May I come in? Dominic moved. Yes, I need to be alone, by myself. She slowly closed the door behind him. Oh, it is good to be sometimes with loneliness. Dominic's voice was a little bit different and kindness than usually. Yes, especially when we are surrounded with lies and falsehood. Always there should be the space for put a mind in the shape. It was cold, but she didn't feel how her brain worked faster than sensitive body's touch. I want to be smart. I need to be smart, but I can't. She spoke with nearly girl's voice. Who could be smart at this situation? But this is the time for our explanation. Instead, to calm her, Dominic felt more afraid. Are you ready? She looked at him with a question like she didn't know what he was talking about. Sorry, I've just woke up and my concentration is not good. For what? It has been started to be harder and harder, even day every to speak with him. Her heart beat very strong that it was possible for Dominic to heard it. We have meeting, do you remember? He acted as he wasn't surprised about her attitude. Ah, I'll be ready in the moment. She quickly took her clothes and went into the bathroom. Have you got the feeling how these people are not so grateful? It was the first what Dominic said when two of them stepped on the cold morning air. For what they should be grateful. Dominic didn't understand her friend very well. For lovely life on the first place. She was a little bit angry. Whatever we are doing here out from our own world is not and could not be the same as the place where we've grown up. Why we have to do so hard job as this is. It is hard to remind someone on something so terrible. She didn't expect her own reaction. She was in panic. Nothing wrong will happen. You are not doing anything bad. Diamond continued to repeat it, the words of comfort. How do you think that one man who has been accused for his own work as someone who committed the crime, whose work doesn't have any connected points with something what could be wrong, at least crime, and everything happened in front of the court, which wearing a name human rights. And by the way, that man has his own vision of politics explanation. And of course, people who follow his presentation and leads without relevant proof and with constant humiliation, became desperate and started to lose and lost feeling for justice. That person who didn't do nothing except fight for respectful equally. He wanted to his ideas and opinions found a place as expected theory and becomes in same position with other ones everything what doesn't allow that could be only torture and repression and not fight for the human rights. Don't you think that our profession is nothing else than a victim? She was talking so fast that didn't feel how cold air touched her lips. Speeches can't be dangerous, can't they? Diamond didn't say anything because he didn't have right and logical answer. I saw Oleg this morning. She wanted to explain what their conversation was about, but Diamond looked at her on the very strange way, as he didn't feel good because of what she said. Oleg, it was strange. It wasn't nothing wrong with that, but on a moment Dominic thought that he couldn't hide jealousy, or maybe that was her imagination. This night we have some party, so do not try to get too much tired. I want to dance with you. Dominic was afraid to raise her view. She was afraid that her control would be lost as dark in the rise sun. After those words, they didn't say any more until the rest of the professor's house. It wasn't easy to make a good relationship with anyone, especially with someone who had so much behind own self. All her memories grown up on that cold morning, and it was so painful, so strong and hard that ever before. Sometimes her grandfather used to say how that is only because of her young age and how would be easier with time. Would be. Why she decided to come on this ship. She could say anything, how her grandfather was ill, that she needed to stay with him. Why did she choose? If man knew that could fall down, for surely would sit before it. If something could make her feel peaceful, that would were words. Step by step they were in front of Professor's home door. The door were open. He slowly opened them. Even that it was very old wood also didn't make any sound. It reminded Dominic on old thriller film. She expected that something but could wait it for them inside, but instead the worst day felt a lovely smell of had just made coffee. You left the door open. That was first what Dominic said when she saw old man, his friends. No matter what you have to be careful, Diamond agreed with Dominic. I'm not afraid of anything anymore. Professor sits slowly across them in his chair. See that window? With tired voice, old man started to speak. Every time when I wanted to feel the freedom, that window helps me. Maybe it is strange. Even that he was moving very easy, deep lines around his lips were visible. I ran every time through that background, away from everyone. Some boys who wanted a fight, away from my father when he wanted to punish me, and during our revolution's day. After years of running, it was hard to watch into that window, and all the time curtains were on it. But after I found out how that is the road which prolonged my life. He stopped because his breathing was hard. Dominic was afraid that his already has ruined health could be worse. But after a few moments, he became better. We can't love that our heart just can't accept it. But what did I learn? I is something how we at least could respect the others, their opinion and personality. Again, he stopped and looked through the window's lights, as wanted to give some kind of respect and asked for forgiveness. What kind of forgiveness? Was there a reason for it? You know, sometimes people don't have what to do. Their life couldn't be ordinary created. So if some of them are more wise, they want also more in the life. In my country, especially those days, they suspected in each other and didn't like anyone from the outside. Some of them believed how they had a good opportunity to approve themselves as humanists because of the others. Some of them believed how their fights were so important for the future as better, but most of them didn't like to control and others to tell them what was right and what was wrong. After all, they have their own mind. They know how to think. So, the top of everything was not respect of others' opinions. They made part of education and someone who were not. Only because they didn't have nice body smell clothes and expensive perfumes on themselves, and that was the reason to open a mind and got deep lost with thoughts about everything. Bit after bit we started with fights. That's how it began. Old man took a long, deep breath as a break. It was evident that he analyzed his life and reaction among a young and his present days. Was there a mistake? People expect that every time someone else should does the job instead of them. Rich one. That was how we thought before. Whole their life wanted that, and if their mistakes could become dangerous for them, every then they pushed the weaker to explain or to took over their wrong steps and be responsible for everything. We couldn't tolerate it. That so the circle should turn around. Now his eyes started to have strong, shiny look. What do you mean by that? Asked Diamond. I mean that we must take any responsibility by them. Mustn't. We have to explain our desire. And it is not shame to show sorrow if lost is not right. And lost is never right. Life is strange, we need friends, but the friends don't want to take care except about their own problems. They pushed and pushed only strange and unhumiliated steps, you after all. There you are by own self and no one around. But we have to careful to understand and recognize who is real and who is not nice or friendly, who could have that kind of power except God. He looked at a young face across the place where they were sitting. Both of them were looking at him as he was some kind of ghost from the past. They nearly didn't take a breath, and the old man knew how his story was something what they wanted to hear more. Why asked on aloud? Pardon. Dominic was the first who reacted. Why do you want to hear this story? He asked. Because of what? This is something what you young people could use, and it is dangerous. These days you learn different kind of things which are more interesting, and you should live your own life, not to be under suggestion by some maybe mistakes, maybe not, but in history or whoever wrote it didn't present us as good side of it. His question wasn't against the Dominic's thoughts, but she still didn't agree and said it's so. I don't agree with you. She almost shouted. Dominic didn't want him to change his mind. I'll tell you why. Everyone is important, and you are more, and your experience is very grateful for the truth. She was afraid that her words were not enough to make him feel better, but his view was thankful, with some kind of shadow which possessed only people who had been through the hard time and suffer. Chapter 41. Stop! Dominic heard Diamond's voice. Yes. She slowly turned back. He was standing in the middle of the snow and looked at her on the most beautiful way that she's never seen before. He started. I think that I am in love with you. Dominic was shocked. She could have expected everything but that kind of feeling that was strange. She didn't know what to think. It was strange. She didn't know what to think. It was romantic. Dominic wanted to turn everything on the joke. What is love when life is so short? She continued. Dominic looked at her. He didn't know what to say, or it looks that way. Dominic wanted for his reaction. Something devil woke up in her, but he still stood on the windy weather. Everyone has their own passion. Something what we think that is so important could be opposite. Passion is passion. There still wasn't any reaction by Diamond. What will happen if there is no future? She looked at him with hope that he finally would say something. How you know that? We even didn't try. How? Instead to look disappointed, he looked her with huge sympathy. Maybe you like me, but the rest of the world doesn't. So what do you think? How would be to live with someone who doesn't have too much or at all? Would be dangerous, don't you think? She didn't know why she really liked that man, but it wasn't time for any relation. You're afraid that is your problem. Whole world lives by themselves. I mean, by own self. People like to be alone. It is some kind of privilege. On that way, they want to prove how important they are, or they had bad karma. Dominic didn't know was that some kind of way how to make fun, or he made competition right wrong. Do you believe in reincarnation and that kind of things? She suddenly was very interested in what we would say. Well, that is for philosophy. I can't say that I believe, but even if that was the meaning, it is very strong and impression. There are many proofs about it, but there are lots of social and politic reasons for made up imagination like that. He now looked as his love act hasn't performed just a few moments before. The comfort for unhappy misfortune, he continued, very realistic for someone who was so romantic a moment ago. Dominic couldn't keep her thoughts. He raised his head up to the sky. The karma. Maybe it is something what is happening to us now. Dominic thought how he sounded very mysteriously. Did he show or did he know something more? What she hadn't told him. After that they continued to walk and no one of them didn't say a word until the hotel. Chapter 42. Dominic was sorry because she didn't want to allow Diamond to said everything about the feelings with her. Was that real life or just the closest expected experience? She didn't admit herself any kind of relationship, especially love one. She couldn't find anything in herself what could walk up some kind of sensible air. It was better taste and breath. Nothing what could help or would walk an atmosphere of useful dream as loving some other human being. Time was passing and she couldn't move. Her thoughts were so strong and over her control that she was sitting on the corner of her bed. Didn't know how long. For the moment, she forgot about what happened. She forgot about the murderer. But what kind of man could do such a thing? Was it a man or it was? She didn't have courage to think about that, how some woman could did anything like killing. She didn't thought as profession one of educated, but her emotional opinion was very strong. No one could be cold and distant away from something like that. Some kind of noise which came from the stairs broke her floating thought, just actually situation. Love and war, criminal. What is different between those kind of things, criminal and war? She spoke with herself during slowly moved to the door. Maybe it was the way to stop the fear. She didn't know what to think anymore. The sound came from the roof. After a few moments, Oleg came down the stairs. What are you doing? It wasn't polite of her, but she couldn't stand any more. Her nerves were over tension. He stopped for a second. I came to see what is here. Don't you remember that you asked me? In that moment, she couldn't remember anything, at least for sure not, how to explain or ask anyone to visit that place. Maybe that was everything what she gave as an answer. Or probably that could be wise at those moments. Are you going to show me what is there? Dominic carefully asked. Next time I have to hurry now. Oleg was arrogant. Unfortunately, he was sad. What really surprised Dominic. If he had something to hide, he probably wouldn't had that kind of expression in his eyes. For the first time, she felt very unpleasant. She started to tremble. Was it because of fear or because he hides something dangerous from her? She didn't know. I don't remember. She really didn't. Alex didn't make any strange reaction. Of course, whatever happened, it is normal that you can't. Dominic felt guilt after how Oleg showed the understanding for her. Chapter 43. I am started to be paranoid, Dominic said the first thing when she stepped into the professor's office. I can't think properly, and it is better if you give me duties to other my duties. If you give these duties to the other student, I'm not sure that my opinion could be perfect, she explained without taking breath. After a moment of break and not any answer by him, Dominic said, Please. It was the ask by very afraid person. Now she succeeds to got his attention, or it has to only seems to look like. Did my friend tell you for what we were fighting? Did he finish his story? Dominic, instead of answer, got a question. No, we didn't get until that part, slowly explained. We fight for freedom. We fight for something what would not press us or rise more walls, lighted and harder. That was the only reason for our revolted attitude. It wasn't independence, it was fight for life and against fear. Only what we've got was performance of stronger and powerful of dictatorship and manipulation. We had proud. We needed the same too. It wasn't competition for who is more brave and who is not. It wasn't no respect to order. It was need for new our time, generation of ours, need for our part of place on this world. What we got? Answer, how we are not got enough to be present. What we should did. We had to fight for our life, which other had to accept as we accepted their. Every time has their own humans. We wanted our one. So you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to do anything. You have to learn more our mistakes and try to create your way of living. So go and ask how that looked like. Professor turned back to Dominic and didn't give her any choice. Chapter 44. Dominic tried to make the cover for the bed, but it was useful. It was constantly falling down. Made of nice material with beautiful color on it. Oh, leave it. I love that blanket, but it is short, said the man of whom her future opinion would be created. Yes, I've noted, she confirmed shortly. You're young, very young. I was once before. I thought that whole world is mine. I wanted to. Much. What is with you? Why do you want to destroy your lovely years? They will not return. Dominic wanted to explain, but it was a long story. It is a long story. She slowly answered what was on her mind. Long story, short blanket. Did you hear old advice by wise people which said to don't do or rise more than blanket allow you? Good opinion, said nice man. I'm not going to say how anyone destroyed my life as someone whose feelings were hurt. But I can say that my youth for sure ruined. I'm sick and tired for waiting that someone nice and good will happen. Or something, that something will change. You are young and many opportunities are in front of you, but life is nothing interesting. Life is a hope for chance and you only could make it better. If you have hope, you will live. If you have wish, you will live. But if you also faced with hate and bad people, then only thing for you is avoid them and wait for something. Whatever we did was nothing else than try to change the other opinion, and we couldn't accept no, as someone before us couldn't accept our no. Maybe there was a hope between the lines, how we would succeed to find some connection, what would be good and part of same point with an opinion among us. Through the fight, through nice words, through enjoy, through pain and suffer. That was a try. What I have now are the memories and only one important truth that people wanted to be unique and different and they'll do anything to close your hopes and push their power. If you are strong, you will survive. If you are not, then you are a loser. Proud, not respect, and deep feeling of loneliness. Too many death, sickness. New generation who has their own life and their new different view and the way of creates ideas to be nice and that's it. Dominic understood, knew, and already felt, even it was early for her. But she was the person who admired everyone from the older generation. After years of a fear, of hard life, they still got optimistic and interesting care about each other and about life. Only what you have to remember is that you never should do anything what is not appropriate to your taste or personality. Of course, many of us finished some school, but that doesn't mean how we have to do that. School is for education of modern times, but do whatever you think that suit with you. I like my home. Many of my friends like to travel and spend their life in different hotels rooms. I hate hotels and I don't like shops and I feel sorry for the people who are standing everywhere and try to collect so much money. I really don't think that is a way of living. Do they know who they are? Do they know what they are doing? No, it is some kind of competition who will be or who could be bigger and richer. No love, no emotions, nothing. Old man stood up. Dominic wondered why he's never got married. What did happen with his love? Or was he one of the idealistic persons who had fantasy how fairy tales are real? Sadistic smile was on his face as he remembered something. I like my home, but no one allow me to enjoy it. He sounded so sad. Dominic thought how strange thing happened in the hotel where her robe was. Maybe he was right. Do you know that you have a reason for your right? She didn't know where that came from. Sorry, Dominic corrected herself. No, it is okay. I ask myself very often that question, said old man when he saw how Dominic nearly looked afraid. You don't have a reason to be so worried. Maybe we were right. Maybe we weren't, but I knew and I know how revolution asks sacrifices. That happened here, that happened everywhere, and it still is going on. He stopped for a moment. Whatever we think, how there are too many different kind of points. Listen to me. There are only two kinds, positive and negative. The only different are way how we are looking at it, and there are a numbers. Dominic tried to make connection, but she was little bit confusion. Emotions, there are making the stories only way of opinion, which was made by individual emotions. He looked at Dominic on the very important meaning with his eyes. Do you remember when I asked you about your feelings with that friend of yours? Dominic nodded. Emotions. Sometimes we like to be more important. Sometimes someone else wants to make us more important. Sometimes it is because of love. Sometimes it is because of hate or because over our backs. They wanted to do their point and prolong their own life, how they could enjoy or how they could use someone else for other situation. We have to be careful who and for what they control our life. At least they are ours. He said with some kind of very deep, sensitive note in the voice. Did you ever try to write something about? Dominic knew answer at front of. She still wanted to hear what and where words by that man left for others. Ha! I'll give you every my books. They are here. I didn't have support to punish them. Tell you the truth, I never read them again. After everything I decided to enjoy in this city, on this world as one visitor. When I was in school, I couldn't say that my marks were great, but do you know why? Because of on every opinion I had complained. I didn't think that study just as the others wanted was the top of the life. You have to think with your knee and with your head. I believed that my time would come soon or later, and it happened. More and more people think with their heads, not how the other want. He was proud on himself, and it was obviously. That is the first step to don't allow the others to have property over your mind. You could be polite, you could be grateful or thankful, but not slave. And all those machines for making money and cleaning humans' dignity are nothing else than ordinary joke and risk. With money or without, we people are same, and we should have the same rights. We are born for each other and to help each other. not to have bad comedians as leaders. He had an irony in his voice, but Dominic succeeded to smile. I'm glad that you enjoy in this what am I telling you. He was happy too, and Dominic knew how their conversation was coming more and more open. What was very important for the job which was in front of them, the long road and the strong opportunities.